which is disturbing under any circumstances, but more so in face of what one thinks of the United States as a society, as a community, as a rule-governed country where people don't look at your religion to determine your humanity, where you are given your equal status as long as you obey the laws and rules and do the right thing. Given all of that, how do you think that the whole infiltration of the community is taking place and what's going on with the community?
No, if I may say, I think for the first generation immigrant, it's just as coming back to their home. Back home, that is a very normal practice.
Correct.
Mukhabarat in Arab countries and in our countries, CID and all those, that's very common phenomena. Means all police station Pakistan, they have informer. Several prominent political leaders, they were informer of police stations. So that was a joke in Washington D.C. also, that sometimes the American some policymakers have Muslims are here and they would like to make America an Islamic state. And after September 11, what they did, especially Department of Justice, Muslims could not make America Islamic state, but Department of Justice made America as the Arab state. All those mukhabarat and informer and intelligence and no due course, no court, no law. So whatever is going on in Arab and Muslim countries, not every country, but that is the same thing is going on here.
But Dr. Bukhari, humor is some ways a means of dealing with things that are difficult, unpleasant, and unpalatable. So what we are saying is that there is an unfair treatment of the Muslim Arab community in this country. Their fabric of their community is being penetrated through informers. Now I understand at least 4 types of informers are being implanted. One are simply to collect information. Second, and that pattern is very obvious, are people who are actually agent provocateurs, who are there to provoke people to say or do unwise things. That happened in Lodi, California, that happened in New York, that happened in Ohio, that happened in Michigan, that happened in Florida. So we now see a pattern of people, both Muslims by birth and converted individuals, normally between the ages of 30 to 45, who are infiltrated into the communities. They normally approach younger people, provoke them to say mostly things that are unwise, and trap them by taping them, and that is seen as sufficient evidence to put somebody behind bars for 30 years, as happened in New York. Third, we see the informer who is agent of influence, who is there to change the opinion of the community in certain direction. And fourth, there are people who are lookers, who are there to see who else can be recruited to do the job. So given such comprehensive penetration of the community, is that a fair treatment under the law of a community? Is America treating its Muslim citizens at par with other citizens?
Of course no, but the point I was making, that we are in that period of Japanese American were put into physical internment camp. We are in that conceptual period of internment.
Virtual internment.
Or virtual internment. Yes. So it's not fair, definitely. But the question is, I think that it is not fair, but the community is not waiting that when that period will be over, then they will start fighting back. The community has started immediately fighting back. So our leadership and our community, I think they are very vigilant, to some extent. And they are fighting back. So, but that phenomena is very much there. Not only that, with the informal word maybe we can use in different way. Even our organizations and Islamic centers, sometimes very unhealthy competition is going on. Unfortunate. Anybody is getting invitation, they like to monopolize that invitation, not sharing with others. And they are feeling that no, they have some acceptable status. That's unfortunate, but that is going on also.
Yes, very much. There are internal and external factors, but let's talk about the state a little more. Let's look at the RAND Corporation, which is a semi-official status. It was a think tank within the U.S. Air Force, and it was externalized to make it more objective and neutral and disinterested. They have come out with a number of reports about Muslims. Their first report, all 527 pages, talked about Muslims, dividing them into 5 categories of fundamentalists, traditionalists, secular, modern, and Sufis, and saying certain Muslims categories are better than others. What Mahmoud Mamdani has captured in the title of his book, Good Muslims, Bad Muslims, shouldn't the role of a state to look at a community and use its tremendous powers to reorganize the internal structure of a religious community?
No, historically, I'm not sure whether in America it was. In Europe, to some extent, states are doing that. They are doing that probably not the restructuring of the community, but at least imposing a leadership structure on the community. In Europe, the state is very much involved. In America, it's a different way of working. I think state probably Rand Corporation still is not. We cannot say 100% state. Means in the think tanks type thing, just they have intelligence think tanks or Air Force think tanks. Maybe it's a networking over there. There are several think tanks working on Muslims. When the Rand Corporation report came, simultaneously CSIS, Center for Strategic International Studies, their report also came with the Muslim world. And if you very interesting phenomenon. CSIS also issued two reports. Two sections of CSIS issued two reports dealing with the Muslim world. One is, according to my point of view, very negative about the Muslim community and the Muslim world, and other one is very positive. There are several other think tanks where USIP was established by the Congress. They are working. Woodrow Wilson established by the Congress. East-West Institute in Hawaii established by the Congress. Some other institutes also, they are working with the Muslim community. And at least they are claiming positive, and they like to invite everybody. But the Rand Corporation is totally going into a different direction. So all this struggle is also going on. I think, and we should be intelligent enough, and we are. And that means what is their mindset, how they like to do that, and how the Muslim community should respond.
Well, again, I'll ask you a very basic question, and maybe you'll jump in, Mr. Yee. And the question I'm asking is, should state, in any democratic system, any conceivably democratic setup, target a single group within its own framework, its own population, and treat it differently than others, and mobilize the large and strong arm of state, its intelligence agencies, its coercive and cooperative wings, and try to coalesce in a different direction? Is that a fair treatment? Is that democratic rule?
No, of course, definitely not. But I think there's a bigger significance here. What we've seen is a broad net being cast over a particular group. In this case, it's the Muslim community. And it's done under the reasoning that it's for national security. But by casting this net over this particular community, is that in actuality making the nation safer? I would argue, no, it's not. And I would argue, from my experience working in the military and working alongside some of these military intelligence personnel, that there is no shortcut to good intelligence gathering and national security. And in this way, when our particular community, our particular religious group is targeted and under this cloud of suspicion, that it in fact does not make us safer. And this actually, from an international relations perspective, goes against the doctrine that a developed nation can both increase national security and protections of civil liberties at the same time, contrary to those developed nations which are more challenged, and usually one is sacrificed for the other. Now, our country, the United States, of course, arguably is a developed country, a very developed country, and many in this country would argue perhaps it's the most developed country. So there should be no question that our nation can increase our national security as well as the protections of civil rights and civil liberties, but as we've seen in 9/11, that's not the case. We've seen, of course, a deterioration and an eroding of civil liberties in this country under the guise that it's necessary for protection of our country.
Now, given the fact that it's neither morally acceptable nor practically useful, does it lead us to another question that